Hello and welcome back to the Down to the Wire podcast, episode 7, and we will be updating you with the latest and greatest in sport from the previous week. How are we, Jack?
I'm great. Man United won big time, and the Chiefs beat the Saints, so another victory Monday, another good day.
Our whole week is defined by the sport and results of the weekend. Cool. Right, should we just dive straight in?
Let's do it, Jack.
Okay. Right, Formula 1, obviously the season's finished, but now the gossip starts for the upcoming season, and it's already... I say
it's
gossip.
Less gossip, it's more results.
It's confirmation. Yeah, Perez has been signed by Red Bull. It's finally happened. We've been waiting for this for ages, really, to be honest.
Yeah.
As in,
it was kind of like a dirty little secret, but wasn't. Really
it was when it was.
Everyone knew it was.
Surely it was when, not if, wasn't it? As in,
yes.
The only reason that I was doubting was purely on the basis that it had been so long. I was like, surely they're not just going to drop Albon now, are they? As in, they've held out this long. So yeah,
well, I guess he could get a bit demotivated, and maybe his performances. I mean, shudder to believe it could get even worse for him. His performance
Albon
this season. Yeah. I mean, I know it's hard to think that it could have, but it could have.
Is it possible?
So maybe it was sensible to do it this late on.
Well, before we carry on with this topic, what are your thoughts on that move in general?
Well, specifically the Perez part?
Just Perez to Red Bull in general. Perhaps we'll stick on what you think of Perez to Red Bull, and then perhaps the impact on Albon in a minute.
Well, I'd definitely say that, well, for Perez it's good, because, I mean, I don't think he could possibly get into a better car.
No,
because
I agree.
Don't think Mercedes, he's never going to get in the Mercedes.
No.
And unless one of the other ones turns out to be really good next year.
Yeah.
It's still, the mantra is Red Bull are the second best. And for Red Bull, it's good because they've sort of been meandering around with different guys to partner Verstappen. Basically, since Ricciardo left, they've been a little bit stuck in the woods. But, to be fair, though, I still don't see why they didn't just go back to Gasly.
It's interesting, isn't it?
I understand maybe they want Perez because he is a stellar guy. Well, I wouldn't say he's proven, but he's consistent at least. You know what I mean? You at least know he's going to get you some points and will be competitive to some degree, very much unlike Albon.
For me, this move is very much make or break, because if this goes wrong now, you're probably going to have a little bit of, right, what do we do now then? Because we've tried... going through, we bring it up through the academy. You've tried Gasly, that didn't work out. You've tried Albon, that hasn't worked out. So you've gone outside of Red Bull, which is fair enough. But if that doesn't work, then you're kind of like, what do we do now? But I mean, obviously for Perez, it's a cracking move. He was out without a drive. It's as simple as that. So just any seat, I say any seat, obviously you'd want a good one. But as in, a seat in Formula 1 is not to be sniffed at anyway. But to get one a Red Bull is pretty impressive. I mean, to be fair to Perez, I've always thought he's kind of like a meh driver, as in just kind of, not horrendous, not...
But to be fair, he might not actually be that great. He might just be the case that Racing Point car actually was the second best car last year, and they were just underperforming for so long.
But then, like how he easily outperformed Lance Stroll, as in...
Oh, yeah, but to be fair, Lance Stroll is...
a joke.
Yeah, he's with Latifi for who's the worst driver, I'd say. That'd be a touch.
That's savage.
But to be fair, no one looks at Lance Stroll and thinks he's ever going to get into any other seat in any other team. Obviously, because firstly, it's his dad's team, so he's never going to lose his seat. But secondly, because nobody else wants him, I don't think, in their team, unless they're going to get loads of money for him. But, so on the Perez side of it, though, going back to him, in a sense, it very much is make or break for him, because if he doesn't do well, he's basically just going to be the next Kimi Räikkönen in terms of he'll be in the sport for another 5-6 years, but he'll be sitting in teams like Alfa Romeo. I mean, where it doesn't matter.
What I think is this is obviously going off from Perez slightly a second. I mean, just for Formula 1 in general, having Perez there makes it a lot more interesting, purely on the basis of those couple of races where, Verstappen was, say, second or third and there or thereabouts, but just didn't quite have the pace of the Mercedes, which you wouldn't expect from Red Bull given previous form. You know, or what Mercedes would do is just go up. We'll just cover him off with Bottas because Albon's nowhere. So the Albon is not a chess piece. Yeah. Whereas all of a sudden, if you have Perez in there, if you've got, say, you got Mercedes, Red Bull, Mercedes, Red Bull, all of a sudden that makes things interesting and it just makes it a bit more competitive. So I think it's it
allows Red Bull to actually do something.
Yeah.
Like at the moment, they are very much just, well, I don't know if I'd even say reactionary. They've either got to take the fight to Mercedes and do a really bizarre strategy to catch them out.
Yeah.
Or they've just got to hope that Mercedes makes a mistake.
But even when they do that though, because they've only got one person there, they can pull off an absolutely stonking strategy. But then all it takes is for Mercedes to go, right, we'll just pit Bottas now, then to cover him off. And that's it.
Yeah.
There's nothing.
Exactly.
Whereas all of a sudden, if you have another driver up there...
Yeah, even if they think Hamilton's on the best strategy and they think Verstappen's made, that decision to pit him early is rubbish, they can just pit Bottas as collateral and go, doesn't matter. Just to be doubly sure, we'll just cover him off with Bottas. Whereas all of a sudden, if you pit Bottas and he drops down to fourth... that's crucial point in the constructors, and obviously for Bottas as well. He's not going to be happy with that. So it's another variable, I think. So I think it makes it interesting, and based on his performances this year as well, having Perez in that car is really interesting. But also it's interesting, I think, because the argument for keeping Albon was that Red Bull make the car for Verstappen and Albon just has to make do. Well, now I think we'll see. I think it's going to be a bit of an acid test now, because I think you could, if Perez were to go to Red Bull and to struggle, maybe not to the same extent as Albon, because I think Perez is a better driver, but if he were to clearly struggle, I think you could turn around to Red Bull and go, right, well, you're not providing both of your drivers with a good car. You're providing a car made for Max Verstappen, and the others are just made to make do. To what extent, though, can you make a car for one driver?
Well, that's the argument,
you can design the geometry of the cockpit so it's a certain length, and obviously Max Verstappen's on the taller end of the Formula 1 drivers. But, at the end of the day, it's all about that engine. Because if it wasn't about that engine, Ferrari and all those other teams would be right up there.
I guess there's an element to which, certain drivers have different driving styles, don't they? So some drivers are more aggressive. Some would prefer the car to be perhaps a little bit more twitchy, but as a result of it being more twitchy, it's a little bit more, you can have a little bit more input. Some prefer it to understeer more, so they have to do a bit more work through the corners. So I think, I get what you mean, though, and I don't think you can solely make a car... Let me put it this way. I think there's an element to which Red Bull make the car to suit Max Verstappen, but at the same time, I kind of look at it and go, well, at the end of the day, Alex Albon's in Formula 1, he's got to be able to adapt at least a little bit. So basically, I guess what I'm saying is, if you look at if this season, I'm not saying this will happen. I don't think it will happen personally. I think Perez will do really well in the coming season. But I think if Perez were to go to Red Bull and struggle massively against Max Verstappen, then you could be like, right, well, you've had Gasly in the second car and he struggled, gone to AlphaTauri and he succeeded. As in he's got a podium with AlphaTauri.
He's got to win.
Yeah, exactly. He's got to win with AlphaTauri. Then you've got Alex Albon, who, has struggled, but then you'd have Perez, who's also just had a cracking season, and he would have struggled as well. There's a bit of a correlation built in there. So I think it'll be interesting to see what happens.
If I'm honest, from the Red Bull side of things, I don't think this is gonna... It's gonna work out in the sense that Perez... Well, he could be good, and he's most likely going to be good enough in that car. But... I think the way they are set up, this doesn't do them any favours in the long run, because firstly, you're ditching Albon altogether for a whole year, which is going to knock his confidence. But then secondly, you've now got a dilemma of, firstly, is Perez better than Gasly? That's
that's an interesting
on
question.
The radar very much. But then secondly, if he is on par with Gasly, what do you do with Gasly? Because Gasly's clearly too good to be driving in that AlphaTauri for another 2 seasons.
It's a good question.
He's going to move on. It's like, well,
it's a good question.
What happens long term when, okay, even if Perez does well, he's not going to be there for ages because he's not a young driver, and Gasly's at some point going to move on if he's not in that first seat. So then you just end up with Albon back.
Well,
in the seat,
it's interesting, isn't it? And they've made a bit of a hole for themselves, Red Bull, in that sense, because, like I said, they've kind of exhausted their options from their glorified driver program, which they always bang on about. They haven't worked out. They've binned them. They've gone external. Like you said, if this doesn't work out now, it's like, well, what do you do then?
Well, if anything, if it doesn't work out, it means the line of succession to who gets into the seats is clearer. But if it does work out, you've got a whole host of young drivers sat in that academy doing nothing. And you've got unsatisfied Albon and Gasly, who probably both think I deserve to be in that seat, sat in the wings. Well, it really doesn't make sense to me.
Well, I mean, this is a very long-term punt. But, just saying, Fernando Alonso isn't getting any younger. So you'd have to assume that he's not going to be at Alpine for, obviously, formerly Renault, now Alpine. He's not going to be there for donkeys. So, Pierre Gasly, Frenchman in a French car. Just saying.
Oh, yeah. And that's the thing. That makes way more sense. I'm sure Gasly probably, with the way Red Bull, primary team has treated him, probably thinks, I don't really want to drive for them. I think I'd rather drive for a team making a car for them.
I'm sure I read somewhere as well. He fell out with somebody, like in the Red Bull.
Ocon. Oh, no.
He fell out. I'm sure.
I know him and Ocon don't get on.
I'm sure he fell out with, is it Helmut Marko?
Wouldn't surprise me.
I'm pretty sure he's the
he's the big guy.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure he fell out with him at some point. So yeah, I'll be honest with you. I don't think Gasly will race for Red Bull again. I think Gasly will go elsewhere, and will do all right for it. But yeah.
What do you think? How long do you think Fernando Alonso is actually going to be at Renault for? Or not Renault now? What are they?
Alpine.
Alpine.
Alpacine sounds like a medication.
No, I remember what it is. It's a German shampoo. It's like engineering one.
No, so
it's one of those ones on the advert.
Yeah.
Meow.
So he's
buy it before it's gone.
So he's at Alpine, because Alpine is the sporting division of Renault's road cars. So they're kind of going for this whole kind of Alpine is the sports division and the Formula 1 team, blah blah blah.
Did I read this week that Renault ditched or got rid of one of their directors who's in, or not directors, but someone who's pretty heavily involved
I don't know. I missed that.
Well, I should have put it in the notes because it's only just coming to me.
Well, why didn't you have a quick look for that while I'm talking about? You said how long I think Fernando Alonso's got left.
Yeah, go for that.
So you have a look for that. In all honesty, I don't really know, because when Fernando Alonso came, look, don't get me wrong, Fernando Alonso is an excellent driver. And like when Michael Schumacher left and came back, he didn't do any racing in the middle. Whereas Fernando Alonso, he's done IndyCar. He's clearly been doing a bit of practice with Renault anyway, or Alpine. For the sake of this, Renault and Alpine we're going to use interchangeably, because I keep forgetting.
It's too confusing. I mean, I'm going to be using them as Alpecin, I think.
Alpecin. So
yeah, I found the article. Jerome Stroll, Renault Sport President, to leave role at end of 2020.
Oh, that's interesting.
So do you think that's going to... I mean, that's an influential guy in the Formula 1
I guess so, but
that company.
I guess so. I guess... I don't know. The Renault have always been a bit of a weird one, because for manufacturers, surely the main point of being in Formula 1, apart from Ferrari, because they're the racers, the racing manufacturer, if you will, but the other one, the whole point, or one of the main points of being in Formula 1 is the promotion. It's the promotion of your car for trying to appeal to people in the public. Right, and you can basically go, here's our fantastic technology. You can have a little drop of that in your road car.
To be fair, I can understand that with companies like Mercedes, because they're these big, powerful engines for businessmen.
Well, and it's successful as well.
Renault,
that's the thing.
Yeah, when you see Renault do well, I'm not thinking, let's go out and buy a Clio.
Do you know what?
No part of the
I would
Clio
love to go out
Formula
and get
1.
an electric Renault Zoe.
Yeah.
No, just doesn't happen.
It doesn't really line up.
No.
It's a weird company.
It's a bit of a weird one. But yeah, sorry, going back to Fernando Alonso, I don't think he'll be there for too long. I think he maybe I think it genuinely depends on how Alpine do next year. I think if they have a
Do you not think it depends just on what Alonso wants? Because they seem to love him.
I really don't know. I honestly
reckon
think
3 years. I think he wants 3 years, and I think then he'll be, I'm done. But at the same time, I don't think Gasly will want to sit at AlphaTauri for 3 years.
No.
Or there's a whole can of worms being opened at the moment.
We could go on forever. Yes, anyway, so we'll just briefly jump back to the whole kind of Red Bull saga, because we've discussed the Perez side, we've discussed the Red Bull side, but we haven't discussed the unfortunate man in all this, and that's, well, I say unfortunate.
He's had a chance.
Say again, sorry?
Yeah. He's had a chance.
Equally, I do think we'll see how justified it is. If Perez jumps into that Red Bull car and does really well, I think you could turn around and say it's the right decision. If Perez struggles, it's like I said, I think you could turn around and say, right, okay, Red Bull this is the second time now that Red Bull have canned one of their younger drivers unfairly. However, having said that, Albon, like you've said, he's had a season and a half. He struggled at the start. It looked like he was picking up towards the end of last season, and then this season he's just very much plateaued, isn't he?
Yes.
This is well documented. I feel like we've discussed the plateauing of Albon before, but anyway.
Do you think if Perez does well, that Albon will drive in Formula 1 again?
That's a tough question. I really don't know. I don't think he will. As brutal as that is, I don't think he will.
Yeah. Well, there isn't a place for him.
No, I don't think there is.
In a sense, if you can't... I mean, the same goes for Esteban Ocon. If you are given a chance in a good car and you can't perform, regardless of who your teammate is, if somebody else went in and does your job better than you...
Yeah, you don't deserve your seat.
Clearly you're... Yeah, because F1 teams, if you're at the top, you're only picking guys who are going to win. You're not really there for developing guys. If you're down the bottom, you're either picking not ex-pros, but guys who've got lots of experience and that sort of just bring a lot of branding alongside of it for your brand. Or you're bringing up the new guy to get that little bit of flavour into your team. We do
yeah,
good
this
stuff.
is the thing as well, is in that Albon has got quite a lot of baggage now, isn't he? And like the perfect example for me is, if you look at the position you would have thought that Albon probably would have gone to, if he would have gone anywhere, would have been back to AlphaTauri, right? As in the junior Red Bull team. They've got Pierre Gasly there. And then your options are between Alex Albon and Yuki Tsunoda. You've got Alex...
100%. I think people are taking Yuki Tsunoda.
That's what I mean. As in right now, I don't see why you'd pick Albon over Tsunoda. Like, I mean, you could say, okay, he's had a bit more experience, but is that experience a good thing based on how it's gone, really?
Because on the flip, you could almost... Well, this is where it goes back to the Perez. Why would they pick him in? Because in a sense, you had such a nice line of succession. Yeah. If something doesn't work out, they just swap Gasly and Albon over again.
Yeah.
And give Gasly a proper...
I mean, I do think part of it is that Red Bull don't want to get egg on their face by getting Gasly back. I really do think that is part. I think their pride would be a little bit hurt from that.
There's got to be an element of stubbornness. Well, you can't be too stubborn. That's kind of what I mean.
Yes.
Like, you can't just refuse to give the man a seat when he's clearly deserved one, just because you don't want to prove yourself wrong.
Yeah.
Because you see it in other sports. Man United got rid of Paul Pogba for free. And I think one day someone said, hey guys, we were massively wrong on what we did. Let's go spend, 90 mil on him to get him back. And it's like, so just don't... They're going too far down one road where they almost need to turn and say, cut your losses, take a little bit of the brunt and say, we made a mistake, and give them another chance.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like we bash Albon quite a lot on well, I say I do. I'm
more than happy to say that I do, because I don't think he's very good.
But
I don't see the point in praising someone for the sake of praising
I will
him.
say this though, I do think he'll be unfortunate to be left without any seat at all. When you consider the Lance Stroll has got a seat.
Oh yeah, 100%. There's people that have seats.
But I know there are the dynamics, between the finances and the deals and all that sort of thing.
For Latifi.
Yeah. But as in, I don't know. It's one of those unfortunate ones, Albon. As in,
well, I found the stat, and it said that Verstappen, who outqualified Albon in every race, was on average 0.523 seconds a lap slower. So Albon was 0.523 seconds a lap slower than Verstappen.
Wow. Yeah, that's
on average.
That's a lot, isn't it?
That's more than half a second qualifying behind Verstappen every single race. Now Verstappen's very good, but is he should he be half a second?
This is the thing.
Better than his opponent.
This is the thing. You know, as in like you look at like Hamilton and Bottas. As in
he's not half.
I think I'm right in saying that
0.01.
Hamilton has outqualified Bottas the majority of the time this season, right? I think I'd be right in saying that. But as in every time Bottas is right there, as in some of the races this year it went down to like thousandths of a second, which is crazy.
It's always under a tenth.
Yeah, sorry, not races. Sorry, qualifying went to thousandths of a second, but like half a second in Formula One, that's a lifetime. That's a crazy amount of time considering you're in the same car.
I mean, I don't know what the difference is between Russell and Latifi, but I mean, I bet it's around that.
But I mean, this is the thing, and I guess what I'm saying is that depending on how this goes with Perez, either it's going to be very damning on Albon, or it's going to be very damning on Red Bull. There's not going to be anything in between, because if Perez gets close, then you can turn around and say, well, clearly Albon wasn't good enough because he's half a second slower to Verstappen in the same car as Perez, and Perez is much closer. If Perez is equally as far off as Verstappen, then you've got to point to Red Bull and go, well, hang on, clearly you're not catering for your second driver enough for him to get close to... But then, I don't know, I guess it's a vicious circle, because perhaps if Albon did something that made Red Bull want to provide a car for him, it wouldn't be quite so one-sided. But Albon, you know, like the ones that have stuck out to me this season are where like Verstappen has had a retirement, a DNF, and what Red Bull could really do with then is Albon having like a solid finish, and he's like intense. You
just find the Mercedes have disappeared by that point, and then it's like, well, nothing's happening.
Yeah, and
you know, anything,
like
it helps Mercedes out more because it means they haven't got to push their car.
You don't.
And the only difficulty Mercedes have is with the reliability issues.
And, you know, you're not saying you want Albon to then go on and win the race because Verstappen isn't going to, but like at least get like in the top 5.
Keep them honest.
Yeah. Whereas
at least push them to say we can't just chill out.
Whereas like there have been so many times where like you look down and you're like, hang on, Albon's on the hard tyre. Why is he on the hard tyre? Oh yeah, he pitted on the second lap because he cooked his mediums, ploughing into the first corner, locking up, and then he's had to go and change his strategy. Oh dear me. So yeah, I feel sorry for Alex Albon, but I don't think I would say I'm surprised, in all honesty.
No. And if anything, I'm actually kind of hoping Red Bull are the ones that come out looking better.
I do a little.
Only because I feel like they're one of those sort of 50-50 teams where I'm sure Helmut Marko doesn't mind pulling them out of the sport. As much as they're successful, I'm sure he's like, it's expensive, and is it worth the brand?
I mean, I'm not a massive fan of Christian Horner, so I wouldn't mind Red Bull having a bit of egg on their face. But at the same time, I feel like Albon has been consistently average to the point where I'm not expecting it to go that way. I'm expecting Perez to do really well in the Red Bull, to be honest. But there we are. We'll end the Red Bull chat there.
Our crucifixion of Alex Albon has just ended.
If you're an Alex Albon fan, you can start listening again now because we've moved on. One last thing in Formula 1 before we go elsewhere. Sainz been pictured in his Ferrari red this week.
Yeah. What's the dealio though? Because isn't the idea that these pre-season, like, this isn't testing.
No.
This is just to get young drivers comfortable in the car. Isn't there a little bit of hijinks as to who's allowed to do this? Because, I mean, Carlos Sainz isn't exactly a new driver.
Well, he's not been been in the car, I don't think. He's just been in the factory and stuff, getting like his seat fitted and all that sort of stuff.
Perez wasn't allowed a go in the Red Bull.
Yeah, I don't think Sainz has been on track though.
Oh no, that was it. Sainz hasn't been on track, but Fernando Alonso is allowed on track.
Oh yeah, it's some sort of weird regulation. I think basically
it seems that everyone's allowed to vote on it.
Yeah,
and they sort of decide who is.
Yeah.
It's like, it seems a little bit broken.
Yeah, it is a little bit silly. I've never quite understood that. But yeah.
What do you reckon Sainz will do this year in the Ferrari?
Well, terribly, because he's in the Ferrari. But but I don't think that'll be his fault. But
do you think he'll be able to compete with Leclerc?
I think so.
This would be a good year for Leclerc to stamp his authority and say, I'm a very good driver.
Equally,
to be fair, as good as he's been battering Vettel this year, Vettel may have been out of form because pretty much he was a one-man army for most of the year.
But this is what I mean, though, right? Is in like I can't help but feel that there's probably been a few times where there's been a bit of orders to Sebastian Vettel, and because of the position he's in, he's just been like, yeah, fine, whatever. I can't see Carlos Sainz doing that next season. I really can't. Like, I feel like Sainz is going to be one of those people where he's like, if Leclerc's faster than me, he can overtake me, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? He's a bit of a.
Yeah.
I like Sainz. I think he's a really spicy character, and he just, you know, he's quick.
Although, do you not think him and Norris got on so well that even though they were competing with each other, they did on occasion say he's on a strategy where he's going to overtake you. Don't get pulled back into a battle. Let him overtake. Like, there's no point purging the team for the sake of just trying to prove a point.
Yeah. Oh no, I don't think he'll do it to. You know, I guess what I'm saying is, Ferrari are renowned for doing things because they want a certain driver to win, rather than doing it for the team's benefit. And I think whereas perhaps this season Sebastian Vettel would do that willingly. Firstly, because I think Sebastian Vettel is a different character to Sainz, but secondly, I think Vettel just kind of got to the point in the season where he's like, I just don't care, because you don't care about me. I don't think Sainz would do that. I think Sainz at Ferrari's a really interesting one because I'd like to see how that because he strikes me as a very intense character, Carlos Sainz, not in a bad way, but a very kind of, I don't know, just very very focused.
Yeah, I can see that. Passionate.
Yes. So yeah, I'm excited to see Sainz in the Ferrari. Some interesting moves going into next season. I'm pretty sure we've discussed this already, but it's definitely going to mix things up, and particularly because the regs aren't changing next season now. I think it's a welcome.
Well, to be honest, I worry about that.
Well, the regulation change.
No, I worry about there being no regulation change. I feel like it could end up just being more of the same.
I mean, look,
unless Red Bull do particularly well with a Renault engine, which I don't think they will.
I mean, I'm going to be honest. I think it's basically nailed on, and it's going to be Merc again. I can't see any different. But if they can at least take a challenge to Merc, so that Lewis Hamilton can't pit with 5 laps to go to get the soft tyres to get the fastest lap, I'll take that as a win. Given that the regulations are changing the year after, I'll just accept it for a season, and then the year after, that's when we want it to all get intense and properly racy again, you know?
Well, and to be fair, as much as Mercedes dominated, they only really did European circuits, and the Red Bull thrives at the non-European circuits because they're a little bit more technically challenging, or they're more designed. Well, the Red Bull car's designed for those circuits more than the European ones per se. So yeah, I think it could be interesting if they bring back some of those circuits, which they didn't seem to have this year, which is why Mercedes dominated so much.
Yeah. There we are. Right, so that's the end of the Formula 1 chat. And unless something radical happens in the coming week, that could be the last bit of Formula 1 chat we do this year, because we got one more next week.
Disappointing.
I know, disappointing. But it's not long. It's not long till the next season, so it's all fine.
It's not.
Right, highlights of the week. Do you want to go first?
I'll do mine first.
Yeah, because mine will segue quite nicely, I think.
Yeah. My highlight of the week was the Kansas City Chiefs, my team, winning their last remaining meaningful game this season when they beat the New Orleans Saints yesterday.
Yes, they did.
And it was
what a game.
I don't know if I'd call it a tight game, but it very much felt like two heavyweight teams.
It swung back and forward, didn't it?
Yeah, it was just a load of big hits on each other saying, no, we're better.
Anyway, don't go too far into it because we'll discuss that later.
True that.
But I agree with you, but we'll discuss it. We'll go in depth with it later. But yeah, I watched that game. It was epic.
I enjoyed it.
My highlight of the week, and sorry, I'm just reading this. So, given that we're a sport, this isn't like a team podcast. You've picked your favourite NFL team for your highlight.
This is my highlight.
And I've picked my favourite football team for my highlight. Liverpool winning 7-1. 7-1. I've got, what did I say? 7-1. I'm so used to Liverpool conceding 7-0. I'm going to put a caveat on this though, because obviously as a Liverpool fan, I don't think it was ever going to be anything else really for me. But I don't know whether you've seen. Have you seen Kimpembe's challenge from the football last night?
I've already just seen it in the
Honestly, absolutely incredible. He was 3-on-1. He was the one defender left. It was a counter-attack from a corner. And literally, he just flings himself at the ball. It's an incredible challenge. So I would say, as a Liverpool fan, it's the 7-0 victory. As a neutral, it's probably Kimpembe's challenge.
Oh, okay.
Do you want to?
I'll have to watch that after.
You're going to watch that after. Okay. Right.
Yeah, can't find the clip.
Moving on then with Liverpool's 7-0 victory. Did you watch the game?
I watched the highlights.
Okay. I bet they were quite long considering there were 7 goals.
Well, they only showed the goals, so it wasn't too bad.
There wasn't any time for anything else.
It wasn't.
Yeah, Liverpool were amazing on the weekend. Look, don't get me wrong, it's against Crystal Palace, who, they're not terrible. As in, I think they're 12th.
Crystal Palace are a decent team.
They're a solid side. I mean, what I mean is, it's not like beating like City 7-0, but as in, don't get me wrong, 7-0, good result for Liverpool.
Well, it's a good result for anyone. 7-0.
Yes, yeah, no, you are right.
Scored 7 goals with no reply.
And the thing is as well, it wasn't like, there are some 7-0 games, or like high-scoring games then, I'll say, where like, you'll get a penalty and then like you'll score a good goal and then one will go in off a defender and then one will get deflected. Like all 7...
Liverpool just ruined
they were so clinical. I think the only goal which you could probably argue wasn't amazing was Salah's first one, the header from the corner. Because
Well, I also thought, as good as Roberto Firmino's touch was, poor defending on the part of just letting Firmino run up the middle. First touch, but a lovely touch.
Oh,
lovely
what a
finish.
touch. And it was a lovely ball. I'm assuming you're talking about the first one, right? Yeah, that ball from Robertson was just glorious.
That's the thing. Some people just lump it in.
Right, and
he picked him out on the edge. And I'm
just going to say this now. If you're not a Liverpool fan, just indulge me. I won't be too much longer, but this was an epic result for Liverpool. Yeah, and Henderson's goal, glorious. Trent could have quite easily taken it on himself, but he's like, no, I'll just lay this off to my captain on the edge, and Henderson just first time slots it in the side netting. Salah, top bins. Like, absolute, what finish. Like, it was
so unnecessary.
It was so nonchalant as well.
Graceful.
I tell you what.
Yeah,
and Sadio Mane's goal as well. First time touch and then bang right into the bottom corner. Yeah, some lovely goals in there. The thing was as well, it must have been so demoralising for Palace, because I'm pretty sure they were like 4-0 down. And then Jurgen Klopp's like, right, do some substitutes. Mo, on you go.
Well, do you think Klopp's... He's not playing the long game, do you not think? Because he did the same in the Champions League. Where
resting players?
Yeah,
absolutely.
He's bringing players on, which don't need to come on, and he's not resting players when he can rest. That Champions League game meant nothing to neither team, and it was like, yeah, first team lads, give it a go. It's like, it's such... he can't complain about 12:30am kickoffs if he's then playing players completely needlessly.
Well, you say that though, but as in, I get what you mean about bringing Salah on, but then he did bring Mane off. So it is a kind of... I
understand that, but when you're 4-0 up, I don't think there's any fear that Crystal Palace are going to come back.
But that's what I mean. I don't think that was a tactical substitution. I think he went, right, Mane's played for an hour, off he comes. Let Mo go on for half an hour.
Well, I was just surprised it was Mo. I was like, why not bring on Origi? I don't know if Origi came on.
Because
you know what I mean?
What happens if Mane gets injured? Do you want to be bringing on Xherdan Shaqiri or Mo Salah?
Oh, 100% you bring on Salah, but in the situation when you're already 4-0 up, why do you need to bring on Salah when you can bring on Xherdan Shaqiri? It just seems like he's risking players' health for no reason.
Well, no, because you can't pick your bench based on how well you think. You've got to pick your bench, assuming.
Oh, I understand that.
But
he'll have a lot of players. You've got 7 players on the bench, hasn't he?
But one of those has got to be a backup goalkeeper for a start. And then you've got to have a certain number of defenders, midfielders, and attackers, right?
No, you can pick any 7.
But as in you'd want to balance it out, as in you don't want to have like 6 attackers. So
you probably pick 1 centre back, 1 wing back. Then you probably pick 2 centre mids. Mm-hmm. And what's that? 5. You've already got the keeper for 6.
Mm-hmm.
Then you bring 1 attacker, but to say that one of those mids could have been Xherdan Shaqiri. All I'm saying is, he didn't need to bring on... if anything, he could have brought off Mane and put on a defender. For all I care. Just didn't see the need to... You know, you just don't see big teams when you've got so many games already, bringing on world-class players when you're already...
I get what you're saying, but I think there's probably a few other dynamics there. As in, Mo Salah's probably sat on the sidelines like itching to get on for a start. As in, he's looking at this, going, "I could get 3 or 4 goals in this game for towards Golden Boot."
Be disciplined though. You've got to understand that there's going to be other games coming up where
I know. Oh yeah, but
we're going to need you down there.
But come on,
Christmas as well.
Come on, Jack. As an attacking player, if there's a game where you think I could get 2 or 3 goals, you want to be on there. It's as simple as that. As in, you're not thinking about, oh well, it's all right. I'll just make sure that I'm available for the next game. You're thinking, I want to get on there. I want to get some assists. I want to get some goals. As in. That's why they are where they're playing. I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. As in, you could argue surely there could have been somebody else that he brought on rather than Mo Salah. Just like, did he really need to bring Mo Salah on for half an hour in a game that was clearly done? I get what you're saying, and that does make sense. But I think there's probably, I guess it depends how you look at it. I think if he had brought on, like at the end of the day, he started Minamino. Minamino started. He hasn't started in ages. So yeah, I think he's probably going to rotate over the coming weeks now. So I think we'll probably see some different players coming in. And I guess because you said about Origi, didn't you?
Yeah, so why not bring him on?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's probably fallen down the pecking order, to be honest, because I think.
I don't think he ever got to the top, did he?
Well, he was behind. He was behind.
I get what you mean, though. Now that they've signed Jota.
Yeah.
Who else did they buy?
Oh, well, they've got Minamino, haven't they? They got
Minamino. Yeah.
But
that very much pushes him.
But yeah, I guess just briefly going on from that, as in, Liverpool are they've hit a good bit of form at an important time, really, going into the Christmas period. I guess it's slightly different because obviously the season's a bit further. We're not as far along, are we, as we normally are, because we started the season late. Would I be right in saying that?
No, I think we're the same.
Well,
they had a shorter break, I think.
Oh, yeah, so they've just bunched up. Okay, I guess not then. Yeah. But yeah, Liverpool's next 3 games are West Brom, Newcastle and Southampton. Southampton, well, West Brom is a banana skin in the fact that they've just sacked their coach, which we'll discuss in a little bit.
Further down the line.
Yeah. Newcastle, I mean, on the face of it, you'd expect Liverpool to get 9 points out of 9 points there.
And to be fair, Newcastle, their next 4 games, I think one of them, I can't remember who the first one is, but then the 3 they've got after that are they're all against top 6 teams.
Yeah.
So I think they're going into that thinking we're in a period of just defend.
Yeah.
No one's thinking about scoring a goal.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, so yeah, I guess what I'm saying is Liverpool have got a nice little bit of form because they looked a little bit rocky. I think for a little bit they kind of got a few results. They got that draw with Brighton, and you were kind of like, oh, I don't know.
They're not going to make top 4 at one stage. We were both thinking.
No, I wasn't.
We both
you were.
Liverpool aren't going to make top 4.
You were. I was not thinking that. But yeah. Anyway, from my team to your team, Man United. Also had a cracking win on the week. Hang on now. Hang on.
Ollie's at the wheel. We're going to be second when we win our games in hand, and it's all Gucci, as they say.
I keep forgetting that you've got a game in hand.
It's glorious.
It's
the same for City. City can go all the way up to 3rd, above Chelsea and Tottenham, and the same for Villa. Villa can go up to 3rd, assuming Man U win their game in hand. And somehow both City and Villa win their game in hand when I think they're playing each other. Assuming everybody wins their games in hand, everyone's getting into the top 3.
It just shows how volatile the Premier League table is, doesn't it? And this is not taken away from United's performance on the weekend, as in United were clearly very good. McTominay had a good game. I say good game, a very good game. But
They unpieced Leeds very nicely.
Yeah, I think
they just seem to have the lock and key. Bringing Dan James was genius because they were saying in the commentary they were like, he was a surprise admission. Why would you pick Dan James?
Yeah.
No one's. Someone said they thought he was on furlough. He was so unused. But yeah, just because there was so much space. Yeah, both teams just seemed to go at it.
Yeah,
they were just like, well, have someone who's really quick.
I mean, I didn't watch the game. I saw highlights, but as in I saw somebody said, well. As a United fan, I kind of expected that, I'll be honest. But yeah, I mean, there was I've lost my trail of thought. Oh yeah, somebody said that they said that they think United basically just tactically just manoeuvred Leeds exactly where they wanted them, basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, isn't it like the table is just mental because we won our game against Palace, yeah, and then. Leicester beat Spurs. I was like, oh, that's a good result because that means Spurs will be further behind us.
Well, yeah.
But little did I realise
that
Leicester have now caught up to us anyway. So now Leicester are second.
I don't know how Leicester have managed that.
Nor do I.
Where's that come from?
It's bizarre, isn't it? And like I'm pretty sure it was last week we were talking about Spurs as title contenders. They're in 5th.
Yeah.
And like Chelsea are in 8th.
It's so tight.
But this is the thing. It's so tight. As in, let me get the table up actually. But yeah, as in I think it's one of those ones where there's a lot of like places are not there's not a lot of points separating a lot of teams. So yeah, between 5th and 9th is 3 points.
It's crazy.
In fact, you could actually say between 3rd and 9th is 4 points. Although you've got a game in hand, so it is slightly different.
Lots of games in hand, but also Leicester, they played City to start the season and they beat them 5-2.
Mm-hmm.
And they've played Liverpool and they've lost.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're still calling Arsenal a big team, they beat Arsenal as well. But they haven't played anyone else. And there's a lot of teams who've played a lot of the big teams already. I mean, I think Man United they haven't played Liverpool.
No.
And they haven't played Leicester.
No.
But they've played Everton, Chelsea, Tottenham. I'm pretty sure they've played Southampton. They've played City now. You know what I mean? A lot of the other teams have played the big teams already. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Leicester come up against a few of those sides and maybe they might come to the bottom of that pecking order of 9 or 10 teams.
Well, and I mean, last year Leicester were kind of in, maybe not second, but as in they were in and around there around this time of year, weren't they?
Oh yeah, they were 3rd for ages. Like they were the only challenger realistically to Liverpool at the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Brendan said we're not going to get carried away, and I thought absolutely nobody thinks Leicester are going to get carried away because nobody thinks Leicester are going to be there for very long.
I mean, I think,
and they very much wouldn't. And then they ended up bottling it and not even getting top 4.
Yeah, I mean, no disrespect to Leicester, but I think they'll drop off.
Yeah.
They just don't seem to do. Certainly. They don't seem to do well enough against the. As in like Liverpool beat them.
And in the second half of the season, they always seem to get found out.
Yeah. I think their lack of squad depth kind of catches up with them. I think a little bit. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I do think Leicester will be caught out. Do you want to say a little bit more about United? Because I feel like I spoke a long time about Liverpool.
Well. United are back to the best. If they
right, so that's why I cut you off, isn't it? Yeah,
won it. Yeah,
because you just got into complete delusion. But there we are.
No, to be fair, United they've lost 3 games.
Yeah,
and whilst everyone goes, 3 games out of 13 they've lost, that's actually Liverpool have only lost 1.
Mm-hmm.
City have lost 2, and then it's United, Chelsea, Spurs. They're all on 3, so very much in and amongst it. Liverpool drew 4 games, United have drawn 2.
Yeah.
Which is why, if we win our game in hand, we're only 2 points behind.
Yeah.
And to be honest, because we've played a lot of the good teams, and, I mean, obviously it's still in our own hands, it's still in everybody's own hands at the moment, but if we beat Liverpool whenever we play them, we go top. And obviously that's a big ask.
There's a lot of ifs there.
Who would have thought that this Man United team, who've played in the Champions League and gone out in the group stage, although they did play last year's Champions League finalists and semi-finalists, who would have thought a team that played those, already gone out of the Champions League, is actually contending for first in the Premier League? No one talks about Man United thinking... I don't think anybody said going into the season Man United were even in with a shout of getting close to the top. And at the moment, they seem like the biggest challenge.
No, but I do think you've got... Like, Man City don't seem to be at the races. Chelsea...
They don't seem to want it as much.
No, Chelsea don't seem to be quite where we would have expected them to be, in all honesty. And, yeah...
Spurs haven't got the depth to do anything.
No. So,
and then a lot of the other ones are sort of just false. They're not really going to be up there at the end of the season.
You'd assume not. So, it'll again...
Except Everton.
To be honest with you, this again, just some... I'm pretty sure I've said this for the last couple of weeks. It just shows how much of a dogfight this season is. It really is.
And I'm loving it.
It's great in terms of as I've said before as well, as a Liverpool fan, I would much prefer Liverpool romp off to victory. But in terms of as a football neutral, this is what you want in a league season. It's as simple as that. It just makes it more exciting. Right.
Just one normal week of Barclays. That's all.
What'd you say? Sorry.
I love that meme when they go. Just 1 week of normal Barclays. That's all I want.
Yeah, there we are. Right.
As the big teams, you just want them to dominate.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen this year.
Right, we'll briefly talk about Spurs. Has the bubble burst, do you think?
Wow.
Like I said, it's only...
To be honest,
it's
it wasn't a big bubble to burst at the begin with.
No.
They were very much the early kindling embers
of a title challenge.
Of a title challenge. And to be honest, they're still a very good team.
Oh, of course they are, yeah.
But if you well, so we don't know how good Leicester are because they haven't played many teams of great quality. But
they've played Spurs?
They're fifth. They're fifth now. You're only as good as your position.
Wow.
You're fifth. And to be honest, they could be seventh if City and Villa win their games in hands.
I mean, I guess we have kind of said this already, haven't we? Is in the table is a little bit. It's a bit deceptive, isn't it? Because the difference between Spurs and Chelsea is like a couple of points, but it's 3 positions.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's all lining up to be very interesting. I think all lining up to be very interesting.
Yeah.
So we've already spoken about Leicester, and we've been in with a title shout, and we've decided that we don't think they are. I guess we should do our weekly bit about Arsenal now, shouldn't we?
Yeah, let's bully another team, that Albon. Let's get the knuckle dusters out for Arsenal.
To rub some salt in the wounds of certain fans. Like, if you're an Albon fan and an Arsenal fan, may as well abolish to this podcast. It's just a boost for an hour and a half. There we are. Right, how worried should Arsenal be? Let me just have a quick look at the table. They're 4 points. So Fulham are 18th on 10 points. Arsenal are 15th on 14 points. So they're 4 points above the relegation zone.
And can I just say, well, Burnley just won tonight, so that's going to go up again. So they're already below Burnley.
Wow. Okay.
They just beat Wolves. So yeah, that's just happened.
Good result. Good result for Burnley. That.
But yeah, they are 100% in a relegation battle.
Well, this is the thing.
It's a third of the way through the season.
This is the thing, as in, up until now, it's been that kind of banterous, ha ha ha, Arsenal are struggling, blah blah blah, and then all of a sudden, I'm kind of there like, Arsenal are struggling, yeah? As in, Arsenal are in trouble.
They've got the 4th worst goals scored record.
Man. With a Whining! Like,
yeah.
Oh, man. And, there's been lots of things this week, haven't they? Like somebody, I read... and, again, this is just gossip. I'm not saying that this is 100% truth, but as in, there've been things, that there's unrest in the dressing room and...
and it's escaping. That's what's bad. If there's ever anything internal going wrong, that cannot be allowed to escape the dressing room. And it seems that absolutely nobody cares for Arteta. They just want him out. I
mean, look, I'm not going to pretend like Liverpool are all high and mighty. I remember when Liverpool were here, and it's horrible. It's the worst feeling. But as in, at least...
And Arsenal a genuine relegation.
Well, this is the thing. As in, like, with when it was Liverpool, there was almost that kind of, oh yeah, but we had financial troubles, so, that we can blame that. Whereas, really, with Arsenal... You look at some of the calibre of player they've got, and they shouldn't be down there. I'm not saying they should be like top 4 or title challenge, but they shouldn't be in a relegation battle, surely.
Arteta said, I signed Willian to win the Champions League. What a mug.
Yeah. Yeah. So, hate to break it to you, mate, but the Champions League isn't coming anytime soon.
No, he's missed Champions and missed the ship off the back.
But yeah.
That's not happening anytime soon.
And it seems like, as in... You all...
And the thing is,
go on.
West Brom are going to stay up because they just signed Big Sam.
Oh, gosh.
So that's another position down. Burnley above them. So basically, Arsenal are 17th.
Flipping heck, you love to do these kind of if this then that. But yeah, you probably remember like when Van Gaal was in charge, and you would say certain things at certain points, and you'd think, oh, is he starting to lose a grip on it a little bit? Or like David Moyes, for example. David Moyes would probably say things, and you'd be like, really, David Moyes? What I remember when Roy Hodgson said something, and although he was correct in saying it, you never admit this to your fans. And he went into an interview and he said, Liverpool aren't too big for a relegation battle. All of a sudden, no, it was.
That's a realist. That's
it is. But you tell your fans that though, as in this is. At the time, I can't remember what the timings were exactly, but historically one of the most successful clubs in England. One of the most successful in Europe, and you're saying they're not too big for a relegation battle. And even though it was true, there's an element to which it's like, oh, come on, Roy, you don't say that to the media. That's asking for trouble.
Do you think Arsenal are just a little bit unlucky that everybody seems to be on one of their good years? You know, like when a team just has a good year. Swansea did it. They finished 7th, I think. Newcastle did it and they finished 5th with Demba Ba and all of those lot. And it's like, well, now you've got Liverpool top. You've got Leicester, who are having a decent season for a change. Man United are somehow up there challenging for it. Everton are on a good year. Chelsea and Tottenham are right up there. Southampton somehow aren't a relegation candidate, but rather going for Champions League. And you've got Villa, West Ham, Wolves. Wolves are probably the only one in that lot that you really go there on the downward trajectory since they've had that injury.
But then, does that put Arsenal in a relegation battle? I'm not sure it does.
Well, I guess really to be in the relegation battle, you've got to be at the same level of quality as the bottom 3 teams. And I mean, is anybody looking at Arsenal and thinking that's any harder than playing Fulham right now?
Well, let's put it this way. As a Liverpool fan, I'm more fearful of Villa than I am of Arsenal.
Oh, yeah.
Which, well, when you think about it, is mental based on the past sort of 5 or 6 years. That's almost illogical, but that's how it is. But yeah, Arteta came out with it was a bit of a weird quote he came out with, wasn't it? We were trying to decipher it before recording this anyway. I'll read the quote. He said, last year we won the game against Everton with a 25% chance of winning. You win 3-2. Last weekend it was a 67% chance of winning. Any Premier League game in history and a 9% chance of losing, and you lose. 3% against Burnley and you lose. 7% against Spurs and you lose. There is something else apart from that. It is not just the performance on the pitch. It is something else that needs to go our way, and at the moment it doesn't.
So what that is all going off, though, is things like expected goals and expected goals conceded and shots in the box, shots in general, shots outside the box. Yeah. All of these different metrics. And it's just sort of put into an algorithm, very much like the NFL, where it's all situational stuff. Yeah. And it says, basically Arteta's saying, we had a 25% chance of winning one game, and we managed to win it. And then in other games where they've had a 67% chance of winning, they've lost them. And he's saying, on some games we've got the luck, some games we haven't got the luck of what's happening. And really what I think is this is his sort of saying without saying. He is just putting it onto the players rather than him. Because he's sort of saying, well, with all of the different metrics that calculate these things for, like, basically the way those things are worked out is the style of play and what is happening in the game. And he's saying, I've set up Arsenal in a way that they've had all of these shots and all these expected goals and they shouldn't be conceding, and yet still they are conceding and they're not scoring goals. And he's sort of saying, well, it's not my fault, it's the players' fault because they can't seem to put that stuff away.
Don't you think, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but this just seems like a load of nonsense. It's like, for me, that's the sort of argument, like, like every team has it where they go and play a match, they pepper the opposition goal, they don't score, and then they concede on the counter, and you lose. Yeah. And you're like, statistically, if you look at that match, there is no way that Team X should be losing.
It's like when Celtic beat Barca 1-0
Exactly. There is no... based on the statistics...
Like 4% possession.
Exactly. Based on how the game has gone, the statistics, blah, 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 X team should win, the other team didn't. That's not how it went. But when you're like 15th or 14th or whatever it is... 14 games through the season on 14 points. You can't put it down to, we just haven't had the rub of the green, lads. Surely. Even if this, surely there's something fundamentally wrong that is meaning that they aren't performing well.
But do you think it's the players that he's got? Like, to be honest, apart from keeping a hold of Aubameyang and signing Willian on a free, have they really signed anyone?
Well, they signed Pepe last year.
Yeah.
Well, it's not an Arteta signing.
Yeah, exactly. How involved is Arteta in these signings? Is this really Arteta's team?
But then this is the thing, though, right? If we were talking about Arsenal being, say, 9th, I'd turn around and say, yeah, I think that's a valid point. Arsenal are closer to the relegation zone, I think, probably, than top 4, aren't they?
It's not even an understatement.
Let's have a look.
It's not even an understatement. They're 4 points off relegation.
Yeah.
They're 11 points off... Well, 11 points off the Europa.
So they're really close to relegation. So I think if you're talking about kind of, they're not challenging for Europe, I turn around and say, fair enough. But as in those players, sure, like you look at those players, you've got David Luiz, and look, don't get me wrong, he makes lots of mistakes, but he's too. Would you say he's too good to be relegated?
Yeah,
I would think so.
Well, for context, he was playing alongside Thiago Silva.
Yeah.
Thiago Silva's at Chelsea, he's at Arsenal, and one's up, one's down.
Yeah, you've got. What I mean is this isn't a team where you look at it and you go, oh well, they haven't spent enough money and they've got rubbish players here and they've got, they've got Aubameyang. They don't play Özil. Why is Özil not there? Like that one is something must have gone on. That seems to baffle me.
Well, Arsene Wenger said that he's a difficult player, Özil, but he's not unmanageable.
No,
I think he's saying there's lots of players like Özil.
Yeah, of course he is.
Just got to be a good enough manager to actually be able to control them to do what you want.
I
mean, that's the same with any player. Lots of good players are prima donnas, and you've got to massage that ego so that they work for you rather than against.
Maybe I'm being a little bit too simplistic with this. Are they? I'm saying all Arsenal's players are too good. Are they? I mean, is there an element to which inflated fees have perhaps deceived us all into thinking, oh well, they've bought loads of good players, when actually they're not that good and they've just paid over the odds, maybe? Is that controversial?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Well,
I mean,
I'm trying to think of the... Well, to be fair, the amount... I don't remember how much it was for Pepe, but I think...
It was 75 mil, I think. It was around that fee. It was
how much?
I'm pretty sure it was like... Let me have a look.
I was literally about to say, if you pay more than 20, you're getting ripped off, because I've never heard of him. If you're buying anybody who no one's heard of, they shouldn't... You know what I mean? It's
79 million euros, or 72 million
there
pounds.
We go. It's if you're ever signing someone who's firstly not English, because if you're English, you seem to have 25 mil added onto your deal, and secondly, if somebody actually knows who you are, that'll add another 25 on. If you don't know any of those three things, there's no way you can demand a big fee for them.
I mean,
and it's
in summary, I don't understand it. I don't get it. Is it the players not being as good as we think they are? Is it... I mean, personally, the way I see it is this. I think it's probably a bit of both. And that sounds like a really stupid statement, but I think it is. As in, when you've got Aubameyang in your team, surely you should be scoring more goals than Arsenal are right now, surely. As in,
yeah.
You would think, wouldn't you?
They've scored 12, which puts them... There's only
Liverpool scored 7 in one game on the weekend. Like,
yeah,
anyway,
that's crazy,
mental.
But it's not even as if they're unlucky in the sense of we got loads of draws. They've lost 8 games.
That's what I mean.
That's the only teams that
baffling.
have matched that are in the relegation
It's
zone.
absolutely baffling. Let me have a look at the table properly.
Like you can be unlucky if you're a team like Brighton and you've drawn 6. Even though they've lost 6, they've drawn 6, and those 6, if you split them and you say 3 wins, 3 losses, all of a sudden you've got... Well, you go from 6 points all the way up to 15. For
the bottom line is this. When you look at the form, Arsenal's form right now is the same as Sheffield. And Sheffield are bottom. In the last 5 games, I should say.
Wow. That's crazy. Well, yeah, that's the thing. They're in a rut, and it's not even like when you see teams like Man United in a rut or something. You look at the squad and you say there are good players in that team at least. You've got players like Marcus Rashford. You've got players like Bruno Fernandes, and you go they'll work it out. But you look at that Arsenal side and you go, well, Aubameyang, and who else? I don't trust Granit Xhaka for the life of me. And
no, that's fair.
Well. I mean, I'm trying to think of that. Basically, Arsenal are still trying to be one of those hype teams that go, we got Saka. And it's like, no one in any of the other teams in the league is looking at Saka going,
yeah,
wish he came out of our academy.
Yeah, they're almost...
Because he didn't do anything.
They're almost billing him as like a Phil Foden type character, aren't they? As in the next...
Yeah.
Oh, he's going to be the next
Phil
big
Foden
thing.
at least does stuff for City. Saka just sits on the wing. I can't tell you one thing he's done this season. They're just hype team. They are looking for, almost trying to pretend that they're a big squad with a big academy or whatever. And it's just not Arsenal. It's not what they are.
There we are. All a bit unfortunate for old Arsenal at the moment. There we are.
Knuckle dusters off now.
Yeah, we won't put you Arsenal fans through the ringer anymore. If you're an Arsenal fan, let us know what you think, because I would be interested to see the opinion of any Arsenal fans out there, because. Yeah, it's all a bit messy. there we are. Right. Ugh, I don't particularly want to discuss this. I know you do, though. So Mr. Bilic has been sacked from West Brom, which I really like Slaven Bilic. I don't know whether he's an amazing coach. I can't honestly say I've watched him a massive amount, but as a character, I like him.
Yeah, he coaches with passion.
Yes,
you see him on the sideline. He's enigmatic. He loves just not be confrontational, but be really enthusiastic about what he's doing, and he likes to change things up a lot.
And he's been replaced by Big Sam,
Mr. Unrelegationable. If that is even a phrase. Big Sam.
The Avoider, I'm going to call him.
Get relegated.
The Avoider.
Oh, it was amazing. I was reading an article earlier today, actually, and I think Big Sam's... I mean, they picked 4 of the teams he's joined.
Yeah.
And they were 19th, 17th before he joined. And all of them stayed up. If they weren't 17th, some of them made it into the top half. He just plays the basics so well. He says, score the first goal, don't concede. Amen. That's it. That's his entire philosophy. And it's just force teams to beat you in the hardest way possible. You throw that ball as far away as you can. You kick it into the touchlines. You don't go and help the other team. You just sit really tight in the box and make sure that no one can get an easy shot away. And you just park that bus like it is your life. And I love it. I honestly, I think West Brom wanted Big Sam for a while.
Yeah.
And you don't sign Big Sam to get promoted, because that's not the sort. He's not the Neil Warnocks of the world. He's not one of those who's got a great record of getting teams promoted. He's got a great record of not getting relegated. And I think they wanted him, and I think they've gone. Well, it's poor timing from West Brom to sack Bilic just after.
Yeah, just 1-1 draw with
City.
Like what?
Yeah, I mean, that's about as good as. I mean, if anything, they were looking a little bit better. But Big Sam comes in now, nice and early in the season. He can build that sort of. He just keeps teams in the Premier League. He gets that foundation in them, and they can build off of it. So I'm a big fan of it. I think West Brom are staying up.
I cannot stand Big Sam. I just.
Do you think they stay up?
I mean, I would not be surprised if they did.
It's going to be beautiful to see.
Yeah. I have no comments, to be honest with you. The whole mentality of get a goal and sit back, just there's a time and place for it, but I don't know. He's not my fave, Big Sam. I'll be honest.
I think the Premier League thrives off of having managers like Big Sam in the Premier League, because
I guess he's the antithesis to the flow in football, isn't he? He's the kind of anti Guardiola.
100%. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. You go to leagues like Spain, and I mean, everyone plays possession football. It's like just eating tomato. There's nothing else going on there, and it can get a little bit boring. But then you go to the Premier League, and you've got the gristle of steak coming from Big Sam, and these really hard to beat, grind you down to your core teams, which West Brom are going to turn into, hopefully. And then you've also got a little bit of tomato coming from Man City, and you've got a little bit of papaya coming from Liverpool, and they just charge everybody and make sure nobody can work it out from the back.
What dish are you making you?
Oh,
a Premier League special.
Well, this is the thing. It's going to be a smoothie. It's going to be a minion smoothie.
Wow.
A smoothie of nothing works. There isn't one clear thing, and it's everything fighting for the flavour, everything fighting to be the thing to stay on top. And, and this is where you get boring teams like Sheffield United. They can't survive.
No.
They've got to have something about them.
Got to have an identity.
Yes. I mean, you can't just defend. Big Sam at least scores the goal, then defends. That's his modus operandi.
Wow. God, yes. Modus operandi. That's going in the title. Flipping heck. Right, last. Oh no, it's not the last little bit of football. I'm telling porkies.
No.
So Jurgen Klopp earlier this week won FIFA Coach of the Year in the best awards.
Yes,
and
not Ballon d'Or.
Yeah.
Awards, basically.
And he also won it on Sports Personality of the Year as well. Slightly different.
He did.
But
to be fair, I can understand Jurgen Klopp winning it for Sports Personality of the Year, because undoubtedly across the UK, best coach last year. That Liverpool team, I mean, up until about March, was undefeated and looking to just wipe every record on. Yeah, it tailed off a little bit. But how on earth has he won FIFA Coach of the Year when Hansi Flick, the Bayern Munich manager, won everything? I think he won everything except their version of the Community Shield.
Yeah.
But he won everything. Champions
League.
The
most important one. I'm joking.
The domestic treble.
Yes.
He won everything. And it's like, is this just FIFA bias towards the Premier League?
Well,
do you think Klopp should have won the award, firstly?
It's a difficult one. And I'll tell you why it's a difficult one. I'm going to try and be as impartial as I possibly can with this. Now,
I look forward to it.
You look forward to my attempt.
Yes, please try and seem the slightest.
I agree with you. The thing that I would say perhaps goes against Hansi Flick, and this isn't his fault, is in when you look at the German competitions, there isn't much competition there, really, is there? As in, when you look at the Bundesliga, come on, Jack. With the Bundesliga, you've got Bayern, Borussia Dortmund. That's it.
Whoa. No. I think we're looking at it in the short-sighted Champions League-looking lens. You got Borussia Mönchengladbach. You got Bayern Leverkusen.
Yeah, but bearing in mind this is
got some genuine teams competing at the top.
But this is for the last year, so this is including the back end of last season and the start of this season.
There's enough. There's at least, well, in a sense, when you go to the Premier League, it was Liverpool, and then sort of City. But when you went to the German league, Bayern weren't top for a lot of it. They were in and amongst.
But then I would argue that even City, as they were last season, is a more frightening prospect to play than Borussia Dortmund were. That's what I'm saying. And I feel like,
oh no, I get you there, but that's only one team. Whilst when you consider, you know what I mean, City is just one team. Whilst Bayern had about 5 teams to contend with.
No, I think that's overstating it. 5 teams.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think you're probably looking at Leipzig and Dortmund, and that's probably about it. In terms of teams who are really, really good now, let's be fair. I'm not saying that the other teams aren't.
Just for reference, Dortmund is 5th in the league at the moment. Leverkusen 2nd, Leipzig's 3rd, Wolfsburg are up to 4th. Mönchengladbach, who were leading the league for most of last season, is 8th this season. This is how tight it is for the German league.
Yeah, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's good quality.
Only 4 teams have lost 1 game.
Yeah, anyway, I let me put it this way. I think the Premier League as a league is stronger than the Bundesliga. I will agree with you. I think it's as simple as that, right? So,
but do you think that alone qualifies?
No, I haven't finished yet. Okay, so, I think the domestic side for Hansi Flick, you could argue, well, it's not as strong as the English, right? I think the reason that you could argue for Klopp is what Klopp has done, or what Klopp did last season, a Liverpool manager hasn't managed to do for 30 years. As in, just think about this now. I'm just laying out the arguments. I'm not saying that means he should win it, but as in, imagine.
I was sort of just going to counter that by saying, well, if Leicester did it, no Leicester manager's done that in 30. You know what I mean?
But it's it's just in-house. Imagine United didn't win a Premier League trophy for 30 years, and then the manager who won it in 30 years' time got that award. Would you turn around and say, "Oh, well, it's ridiculous that he's got that award"? As a United fan now.
No, I wouldn't say that's ridiculous.
But what I will say is this. When you look at Hansi Flick, it's not the fact that he's won a domestic treble. It's not the fact that he won a Champions League double. It's the fact he won everything. Then I think it's at that point you go, well, what more can he possibly do to win the award?
Yeah.
I don't know.
The Champions League, that's no easy feat.
No.
And he dominated. No. Absolutely dominated everybody on his way to winning.
Yeah. I mean, look, as a Liverpool fan, I'm not going to say either way, because I think I let me put it this way. I think Klopp is a worthy winner, but I think there is a strong argument that it should have been Hansi Flick. Let me put it that way.
I think Hansi Flick should have won it.
Yeah, but you're a United fan. You would have said that if Klopp had won everything.
I am not saying it. I like to think of myself as very unbiased. Honestly, I'm an incredibly unbiased individual.
An absolute load of nonsense.
No, that's not. Because, I mean, you could say the same. Let's say Everton go on and win the league. I'm not instantly saying to Carlo Ancelotti, you get the best Coach of the Year award, just because Everton have been rubbish for so long, that I don't think that's a valid reason to award someone a trophy.
No.
It's a nice story, but it carries
absolutely
no
weight
remember
the nature of which they did it last year as well, and it was in the middle of a pandemic towards the end, so you've got to consider the nature of it as well.
Well, the Germans were not in a pandemic.
Well, no.
Everyone was in the pandemic.
No, but what I mean is even after the pandemic, it could have been quite easy. Anyway, let's leave here, because I sense that we're not going to agree on this. Basically, what I'm saying is, I think...
Flick's been robbed.
Sorry?
Flick's been robbed.
No, I wouldn't say he's been robbed. I think...
This is daylight.
Sorry?
Daylight robbery.
And what you got to remember is, Hansi Flick wasn't in charge of Bayern Munich for the whole season last year, and I know he took them from wherever it was in the league.
That's even more impressive.
Well,
he come from the pits.
Yeah, but as in, you could also argue
you've
given the Manager of the Year award to somebody who hasn't been there for the full season.
Well, if anything, I think those are good turnaround stories. If you saying then in a sense that if somebody comes in at Arsenal and wins the league, they should or should not win the award?
No,
because that would be coming from a certain situation.
I am just outlining variables. I'm not saying what,
Okay.
Klopp is a worthy winner. Hansi Flick is very, very, very unfortunate to have not won it.
I just don't think... I mean, Klopp, he's had a good league, but when you think about it, go on about, Hansi Flick won, the treble, but they weren't great teams. You think Klopp didn't even compete in the majority of the domestic competitions, so it's even less for him.
But he did win the Super Cup, and he did win the Club World Cup as well.
Who cares? I don't care about those trophies.
But then do you care about the German Cup?
What? Well, there's more good teams in that than the Club World Cup.
Yeah, but then we won the Super Cup as well, which is the best team in the Europa.
That's one game. Yeah, that's one game.
Oh, look, you're not gonna even back down slightly on this argument. So,
no, 100%. I think it's Flick's. I think he's been robbed. But yeah. Anyway, let's move on.
There we are. Right. Are we going to talk a little bit about transfer rumours and stuff?
Well, we can do. I mean, I've heard Salah's unhappy at Liverpool. I heard he wants to ditch him for one of the big Spanish teams.
Oh, does he?
He does. I think he sees the trajectory that the Spanish teams are on and the trajectory Liverpool are on, and very much like a break-even chart, he's trying to hop ship before one goes down and the other one goes up.
I'm not even going to bite to this. I'm not biting.
I was hoping for a nibble.
Sorry?
I was hoping for a nibble.
No, I'm not going to give you the pleasure. I guess we could discuss Paul Pogba. We all know he's going to leave. So,
do you reckon?
Yeah.
Mino Raiola said that. I haven't seen Pogba say it.
So right, let me just get this clear now. So you think that Salah is going to leave based on the words of some random Egyptian player who Salah knows, but Paul Pogba isn't going to leave when his own agent says he wants to leave.
Raiola's his own entity. He's got so many players that he just loves to cause a little bit of chaos to see if he can get a few more bucks.
I think it was Roy Keane said, well, in that case, he needs to be having a word because...
Maybe he has. I haven't heard him speak anything since. Paul Pogba is Man United through and through. Mo Salah is Real Madrid through and through.
What an absolute load of rubbish. We'll leave those two because I feel like they're just they're gossipy gossip. This one's a bit more of a...
just gossip.
What's the word?
Hypothetical.
Should City sign a striker?
I think they should.
I also agree.
Aguero. I'm not going to say Aguero's past it, but Jesus is no substitute for him because he can't seem to score very many, and Aguero's too injury prone. I mean, City have scored 19 this season. And, well, for reference, Villa have scored 24, West Ham 21, Southampton 25, Tottenham 25, Everton 25. Everyone else around them has scored at least in the 25s-ish. Liverpool scored 36. They've almost doubled.
Wow.
City have scored. So,
crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd say they probably need a striker.
I agree.
Who would you sign?
Oof, that's a humdinger.
Can't sign Edison Cavani. Man United got him.
Is that meant to be some sort of flex?
It's a little bit of a flex. We're not even starting him. We got Cavani on the bench.
Because he's not very good, mate. It's because he's like...
No.
You sure?
Hey, he's a Champions League finalist last year.
Oh, a Champions League finalist. Wow.
Yes. Big stuff.
On that rate, Steve Finnan's one of the greatest left backs in all time because he's got a Champions League, wait for it, winners medal.
Yeah, but nobody else in the Premier League has a Champions League finalist trophy from last year.
Well, no, but as in being finalists doesn't automatically make you a good player.
Well, you know, we can only go off your most recent record.
All right then.
So
fine.
Cavani is the best striker.
So Cavani is the best striker in the team that didn't win the Champions League, which is basically the same as Liverpool. So moving on. Yeah, I think City should sign a striker because I don't think Gabriel Jesus is up to much either. To be honest, I think he's good, but I think he's a little bit
decent,
a little bit overhyped.
Yeah, it's to be fair though, it's tough because who would they even buy?
I don't know. I mean, for me, I think that the striker who's out there who you'd argue is possibly not one of the bigger teams would be Haaland, isn't it?
Yeah.
I dread to think.
To
I
be
dread
honest,
to think
it's
how much
Haaland's
money.
choice.
Yeah.
Haaland's choice where he goes. You know what I mean? He's clearly not influenced by the money because United offered more than Dortmund. But yeah, he's clearly the man everybody would want.
Yeah.
I tell you what, it's good that United didn't sign Jadon Sancho. 900 minutes played, no goals at Dortmund this season.
I mean, Dortmund aren't doing well as a team, though, are they?
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are.
They're fifth.
They are. Let me check. Dortmund are fifth. 8 points off top.
That's quite a margin.
2 points off fourth, who was above them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're up and amongst it.
I don't know.
But yeah.
Yeah.
No goals in 900 minutes.
I agree with you on Haaland, though. I think he's got his pick of the bunch, really. Mm-hmm. He could decide where he wants to go.
I tell you what, he wouldn't suit Barcelona, I'll tell you that.
No.
That would be such a bizarre chance.
Oh, I hope he did. It would be such a waste if he went to Barcelona because they're in the doldrums right now. There we are. I think Liverpool could do with sign a centre-half.
Yeah.
You know, we're still having to play Fabinho there at the moment, which is not ideal.
You can't sign Phil Jones, because Phil Jones is a Man United player as well. Very much like Cavani.
I mean, more the point, why on earth would anyone want to sign Phil Jones?
Phil Jones.
Quite frankly, I'd want you to pay us money to buy Phil Jones off you, not the other way around.
He's a Premier League winner.
Oh, that's
He's
such a
clearly
stupid
in the
statement.
Same calibre as Virgil van Dijk.
Nathan Dyer is a Premier League winner, mate. It doesn't mean anything. There we are. So it'd be nice to see Liverpool sign a centre half and Spurs possibly. You've suggested Spurs to sign another attacker. Do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think so much of their success depends on Kane and Son not getting injured.
Yeah, that's
which
true.
is pretty much impossible.
Yeah,
because they're playing every minute of every game at the moment.
Yeah,
yes,
I agree. There we are. Those are our mini predictions for the transfer window coming up.
Yes.
We'll see what happens. Right, that's it for football. Shock of the week. And it's a joint one this week because it is indeed very shocking.
Huge.
Do you want to go? Do you want to say it, Jack?
The winless Jets are no longer winless.
Oh my goodness! I feel like we could do with the MLG soundboard now, like the no.
Big blaring horns going off. Yeah, they beat. Come on!
Yeah, Jets finally got their win. They beat the Chargers, wasn't it?
No, the Rams.
The Rams. Yes,
the Rams.
I knew it was LA.
The second seed.
Wow.
Oh, it seems like nobody wants to win the NFC.
Mental, isn't it?
Every time someone gets towards the top, they
but
drop off.
am I right in saying that now means that they no longer get first pick in the draft? Because somebody's got the same record at the... I think is it the Jaguars?
Yeah, at the moment, both the Jaguars and the Jets are on course to finish 1-15 on the season. Well done to both of them.
Kudos.
Everyone's looking at it saying this is the most Jets thing the Jets could do in winning a game to put them in a worse position. Which is quite true.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's to be honest, I think it's the Jaguars to lose now, in a sense, because they actually have to win a game to not get the first pick.
Yeah.
Basically, it's the tanking for Trevor Lawrence season, because Trevor Lawrence is this
quarterback
in the college game who's going to be number one pick. Who's going to get number one pick is the only undecided thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is an interesting one, because I think it does depend a little bit on lots of records of other teams, because the tiebreaker between the two, I'll double check the tiebreaker, but I got a feeling it's going to be on the strength of schedule. So the way that's worked out is obviously the Chiefs are 13-1 now. If let's say they were 14-0, they'd be having 100% by their record, but they're not. They're 13-1, so they'll have something like 93 or 94% record.
Yeah.
So in a sense, they add up all of those. They'll divide by how many they've got, and that'll be their strength of schedule. So whoever has the easier strength of schedule, so the team that should have been in an easier position to win games and still manage to lose all those, they will get the first pick. So yeah, it really could go down anyway. So it'd be interesting to see which one. That isn't the tiebreaker they've gone for this. Well, it does for most. For this one, it's actually based on win percentage in conference games.
Okay.
So they've actually still got Jets in the lead. But I think it's because they'll both lose. I don't know how they're going to work it out. Honestly, the tiebreaker.
Who knows? The Jets may get another
16
win.
Games. It can go everywhere.
The floodgates may open now.
They could. They've got the Patriots and someone else very good to see out the season.
There we are.
So I don't anticipate it. Browns.
Right. Circling back to the weekend's action then. So as we said,
Yes.
the LA Rams lost to the Jets.
Yeah, this is an interesting one as well, because we spoke before about the Seahawks losing.
Yeah.
Which meant they were the 5th seed.
Yeah.
Which meant they were going to play the NFC East division winner.
Yeah.
Because the Rams lost, they are now the 5th seed.
Oh, okay.
And the Seahawks have jumped back up to the 2nd seed.
Wow. Oh, so
now
messy.
the Rams will play the
All
NFC
messy, man.
East division winner.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is, because the Rams and the Seahawks have to play another game, basically, whichever one wins will stay the 2nd seed, and whichever one loses could end up the 6th or the 7th seed, because Tampa Bay have 2 easy games to round out the season, and if they win them both, there's no way that either Seattle Seahawks or the LA Rams can finish 5th. Because they'll have played each other, meaning that one of them will drop down, one of them will jump up, and neither of them can finish in that sweet spot of 5th place. So Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are playing the league very well. They could end up 5th, playing against the easiest division winner for a long, long time.
That would be alright, wouldn't it?
Basically a bye week.
That would be pretty good for them.
So that'll be interesting to see what happens there. The Bills clinch their first AFC East title in 25 years.
Thumping victory as well, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it was.
It was nice to see them do it in the fashion they did. But also, this is only the 2nd time in the last 17 years that it's not the Patriots winning that division.
Wow! Didn't you say it was? You said something the other day as well, that you said like the Colts were one of the most recent winners. Is that?
Yeah.
Despite the fact that they're no longer in that division.
Yeah, they're an AFC South team now.
Wow.
But they still won the AFC East more recently than the Bills, but no longer.
No longer. The duck is broken. Some would say the duck's bill is broken. Buffalo Bills. Hey. I'm here all week. Right. So you said the Patriots no longer making the playoffs. First time since 2008. A little bit of history there. Although not surprising.
It's not surprising, but at the same time, it's a shock.
Changing of the guard.
Because, it's just... I mean, the Patriots are the playoffs.
Yeah.
They are a common fixture, even in the AFC title game.
Yeah.
They're always there or in the Super Bowl. They're always.
It would be like Barcelona not getting through to the knockout stages of the Champions League, wouldn't it? As in, even when they're rubbish, they're always there or thereabouts.
Yeah. You can't knock them out, but they can knock them out, it seems. So the Patriots aren't there, which is funny.
The Eagles. Now, I saw about this earlier in the week, about Wentz.
Yes, Carson Wentz, their quarterback.
He's having a little bit of a pansy, isn't he?
He is. Well, he was their quarterback.
Justified?
When they won the Super Bowl. He wasn't actually the quarterback when they were in the Super Bowl because he got injured in the run-up to it.
Okay.
So another guy called Nick Foles was actually the quarterback when they actually
Nick
won
Foles,
it.
what a guy.
Nick. But yeah, Nick sounds just as good. I don't know which one.
I said Nick. I said Nick.
Oh, you did say Nick.
Yeah.
I thought you said Mick. I thought that sounds like a wrestler.
Mickey Moles.
Mick Foley, isn't it?
Mick Foley.
Mick Foley's the wrestler.
Mick Foley playing a quarterback.
Yeah, that'd be quite fun to see. But so he won the quarterback. Well, he didn't want to say won the quarter. That makes sense. He won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And they've kind of been rubbish for the 2 years since or 3 years since.
Yeah.
And this season, I think they were, was it 3 wins, 8 losses, and a draw, which is unheard of. They don't really get draws very often, but that was his record before they dropped him.
Yeah.
And they drafted a rookie quarterback in the draft last year, so he's just sort of been sat behind Carson Wentz, almost like a little bit of a little radiator heater next to him saying, hey, you've got to keep your performances up because we have got someone who could replace you. And he's come in. He beat the Saints last week, as we mentioned, which were the NFC East's number 1 seed. This week he came up against the Seahawks and gave him a run for their money. And basically Carson Wentz has come out and said, what was it in particular? He said... I thought I typed it in. So basically on the lines of, I'm not going to be the backup quarterback. He says, if you're not going to pick me first, I'm not going to be part of this organisation. Trade me, basically, is what he's saying, or drop him. I mean, one of the two.
I mean, the bottom line is this: if you're not playing well, then
you're only as good as your record.
Yeah.
If you're 3-8-1, then you're not very good quarterback.
That's pretty terrible, isn't it?
Of the 37 quarterbacks who have played this season, I think he ranks 35th. For his
not really
rating.
in a position to be complaining then, is he?
Yeah, you can't, just because you were on a Super Bowl winning team does not entitle you to say I'm an amazing quarterback.
No. Yeah.
He was very good that year, but it just seems very poor form. Because Patrick Mahomes, who is the Chiefs quarterback at the moment and is dominating, he's breaking every record that he can break.
Yeah.
He's dominated, but he sat behind Alex Smith, who's now at the Washington football team doing pretty well. And Alex Smith didn't get upset when Mahomes got drafted. He said, I'll take it as it is. I'm going to get replaced one day. It's just going to be a bit sooner than he anticipated. I'll move on.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers, he's playing with the Packers this year, playing really good, and they drafted a quarterback in the first round last year. And he's just playing really well, but he's still coaching the guy up, you know what I mean? He's giving him bits and bobs.
Yeah, surely it's part of the game, isn't it? As in, like,
you've got to accept if you're a rubbish quarterback or you're playing rubbish, you've got to accept that maybe you've got to move on.
Well, that's part of your job as well. As in, you can't turn around and say, because basically what he's saying there is, despite how badly I'm playing, I want you to play me or I'm out. And they're kind of there like, no, it's not really how it works. If you're not playing well, we're going to replace you. And then when you play well again, we'll put you back in. That's how it should work. Bit of a weird one.
It seems in poor taste. It's like you aren't as good this season as you have been, and you don't just get the job on. But it will be interesting because he has got a big contract, but I think he's an easily tradable player. There's a lot of teams which he could go to and succeed at. Yeah, like the Indianapolis Colts. They've currently got Phillip Rivers as their quarterback, who was the LA Chargers quarterback, but they've just replaced him with a rookie. Yeah. He's now at the Indianapolis Colts, and he wasn't very good at the beginning of the season, but they are playing pretty good now. Right. But the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts, his name's Frank Reich, and he was the Eagles' offensive coordinator when they went on that Super Bowl run. So Carson Wentz and him have a little bit of history in terms of they're very good together. So I wouldn't be surprised. And they've got a lot of cap room. So they could sign Wentz and take that big contract on without too much hassle. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see how this plays out. And I mean, I don't know if I was a general manager of a team, I don't know if I'd be wanting a guy like Carson Wentz coming into my
Not
team.
really. If that's how he's going to behave.
Such a stinking attitude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There we are. All getting very interested in the run-up to the big one.
Well, interestingly, the Chiefs win against the Saints. Very hard game to win. Very hard game to win. Very impressive they won it. But that means they won all of their games on the road this year. And it means if they win every game remaining this season, which is every game should be at home.
Yeah.
The next away game will be in the Raymond James Stadium for Super Bowl 55. So
Let's go!
Yes.
Come on, Chiefs, you can do it. Back-to-back Super Bowls, that's what we like. Right.
Run it back.
We shall wrap up with the stat of the week. Do you want to go first again?
Yeah, because I can't just put on a Chiefs splurge this week. I'm in such a good mood.
That's okay.
I'll
allow
it. The Chiefs scored more than 21 points this weekend, which was 28th consecutive game they've done that.
Wow.
Which ties the record for games with 21 or more points scored. And that ties their own record from 2017 to 2019.
Of course it does. Who else?
Which means over their last 57 games, only once have they been held under 21 points. So if they hadn't been held under 21 points that one game, they'd be something like 30 consecutive games better than any other team has ever done it in history.
That's crazy.
So they are dominating very much.
Fair enough. That's a pretty good stat. My stat of the week. Technically it's not from sport this week, but it came out this week, so I'm counting it. And that is that statistically, it currently takes an average of 28 shots to score against Jan Oblak. I don't know how that works. I read it. I'm not sure I believe it, but I'm going with it. Because it's
that makes sense.
Pretty impressive.
In a sense, he gets... Because, to be fair, he's got almost as many clean sheets as he has goals conceded.
Yeah, I guess.
So, in a sense...
It makes sense.
I don't know how many shots they face each game.
No.
But let's say he faces 6. That means... He's going on about almost a 5-game clean sheet streak before he concedes a goal. That's crazy.
It's pretty impressive. There we are. On that note, that is the end of this episode of the Down to the Wire podcast. Thank you all for listening. We are on Spotify, we are on Google Podcasts, we are on Apple Podcasts, we are on Breaker. Have I missed anything, Jack?
Pocket Casts.
Oh, every week. One week I'll get them all. Pocket Casts.
To be honest, I don't think I've ever seen a number come in saying someone watched it on Pocket Casts.
Someone could be the first person to listen on Pocket Casts.
That could be the case.
We are also on YouTube.
Yes, we are.
We will be back next week for the final episode of the Down to the Wire podcast for 2020. But until then, have a happy Christmas, and we shall see you all again soon. Isn't that right, Jack?
That is true.
Okay.
On Mondays.
On Mondays?
Well, Tuesdays it comes out. Mondays we're recording.
There we are. That's how we roll. All right. See you all soon.